Philip Martell is our guest this morning. He is the superintendent of the River Valley School District. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. This morning, West Shamokin High School said they had 8 positive cases among students in the building, and so they've switched to remote instruction for the next 2 days. They say it will not affect tomorrow's schedule. The football game, of course, is a big one between River Valley and West Shamokin. Mr. Martell, I know that you don't want to see any of those sorts of things happening. What is the COVID situation in your school? Anything similar to that?
We've had a couple cases. We've notified the public, about 2 cases in the middle school and 1 at the elementary. Nothing else as of yet. We're obviously still enacting some of once the new mandate came down, we're trying to enact some of those measures and obviously some other ones as best as possible. We've really had a great start to the school year after our reconfiguration, but dealing with some of these things that we're dealing with now, it's a shame because public educators should not have to deal with these things. And it's just a shame because of the lack of leadership from the governor and the administration. We've really put teachers and educators in a bad spot, Todd, and it's just very frustrating because it's not what they're supposed to be doing.
It's not something that is going to go away either. You're going to have to be on top of this every single day, and things can change really, really quickly, as we see. But at least you did get off to the start in the school year, so let's get back to that and talk a little bit about education. River Valley is brand new, and you've consolidated the 2 ends of the school district at the secondary level. How has this first week gone?
It's going incredible. I mean, we had building up, last week, we had that, as we discussed before, that step-up day where we invited all the parents and the students to come up, simulate their schedule, had a carnival on the front lawn. We had 1,000 people out there, and they came and seen that this was a good thing, because I always said the students are fine. We started with that, and then obviously Friday night, the first ever football game with a packed house. To win that, it just kind of set the tone for the start of the school year, and we had a great day Monday. The kids are fabulous. The vibe in the building is electric, and I mean electric. And that's what makes you you start to say this was a good thing. But the kids are, they're excited for the start of the year. Obviously, the other issues we have to deal with as a community, but moving forward, it's been fabulous.
We did get some reports from parents from the Salzburg end of the district who said that their children were having difficulties finding their way around and actually getting their schedule all straightened out. I know that all school districts deal with issues such as that when you have new students in the building at the beginning of a school year. Has it been disproportionate from your standpoint, or is it something that you're just used to dealing with?
I mean, it's not, I mean, we feel, we've obviously, we gave maps out on last Wednesday night, but our teachers have been very helpful. The student doesn't know where they're going in one way or the other. We're not holding them tardy or anything like that because it is a new building. There are, but these types of tweaks, it's no different if you have kids transitioning from an elementary school to a new middle or a new high school. It's a transition period. So we've taken that into account. We're working with the students. But I haven't seen any of that, over the last day or so. But we'll continue to fine tune things, and they're going to be bumps, but it's how we address them and how we respond and communicate that.
Bus routes working out okay?
Bus routes are working out fine. No, some normal bumps in the road that you have in any school district at the beginning. Just getting the timing down and different things, and then tweaking some of the routes when need be. We're responding to that. Our business managers working very closely with Smith, who's done a fabulous job, including yesterday for early dismissal, getting all of our students home safe, and making those adjustments when we can for parents. Changing stops and doing those types of things. So normal transportation issues that any school district has the first couple of days of the year.
Normally,
usually next week it'll be worked out.
Yeah. The normal thing that we talk about when we visit with our school folks from around Indiana County is actual educational issues. With your school district, of course, we have to start with items of transition, but let's talk a little bit about educational aims and goals for the students at River Valley for this school year, especially here in the fall. I know that there are new programs of necessity within your school district, but what are some of your goals for academics within the River Valley School District as you begin a new academic year?
We really want to acclimate our students to be able to create their own true career path. And then create, once that's determined or where, if they choose to do that, is create that personalized learning environment that he or she may be able to take that track and then line the coursework as needed. And I've said it before, and we've talked about it. Workforce development's important. You do not have to go to college now. Obviously we see it now, just even in, it's filtered down to the local mom and pop shops that sometimes aren't opening on certain days. You can make a very livable wage if you're committed and choose a career path. So creating that type of environment for them, but also meeting some of the guidelines that we have to as a requirement by the state and federal government. We have to mind those as well. But offering those opportunities, it's opportunities and equity to make sure every student in the school district has that opportunity.
Of course, you'll continue your development of the Salzburg building into the STEM Academy, and those preparations will go on, and maybe at another visit we'll talk more in depth about that. But from the elementary school level, those have to have different goals just in terms of getting students into the business of being a student. It's especially at the lowest grade levels, the kindergarten, first grade levels. Those kids have to learn how to be students. It's not an easy thing for them, is it?
It's not an easy thing, and that's why even in the pandemic era, you have that sense of normalcy, before, but getting them acclimated as they're entering school, hopefully, hoping that you don't have to take a route where you have to go online learning. That's very difficult, obviously, as we know at that level, and level for all. But just getting them into the swing of things and understanding their structure, for schooling and that. So it's been that's one of the entertaining things, I think, Todd, because you get to see the smiles on their face and the excitement. It makes you really proud. It really does.
Maybe you could define this for me, because I've often wondered. We know that guidance counselors at the secondary level are busy preparing the students for their transition from school and out into either a job or into further education. And so that is a pretty easily definable role for a guidance counselor. At the elementary level, what is the guidance counselor's position? What does the guidance counselor do at that level of education?
I think it's evolved somewhat. But in my mind, in a perfect setting, they are in alignment with the secondary counselors as well, because, some people may laugh, but really students, we do not want to be waiting to their 8th and 9th grade to start to look at possible career paths. Like, they need to start looking even in 5th and 6th grade, so they have the ability to explore, work with their counselor, try things out. It's okay to fail, choose another direction. Think about at least about me. How many times I changed direction what I wanted to be. Never thought I'd be a superintendent. But, that's okay at that level. That's why it's important to start early. But also, I think they have a big role today in this pandemic because of the social, emotional learning that we see and the struggles that our students are having across the board, but really, in the elementary level too. So having that as part of the role, I think, is crucial. But your whole K-12 guidance plan has to really be in alignment. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of districts don't have those elementary counselors, so that gets lost. We're very fortunate here to have them. So we really kind of push them to the limit to kind of make sure that that's in alignment, but also taking that social emotional learning portion in for our students.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that, the role that is played within the school building itself on a daily basis by the guidance counselors at the elementary level. It's a pretty fascinating topic when you get right down to
sure is.
Explore what they're into. As a district overall, of course, you are fitting yourself into the athletics schedule here, the extracurricular activities, and for the most part, the Blairsville and Salzburg sports teams were already combined. There were some, such as the football program, that were still separate. Everything's together now. How's it gone?
It's gone great. I can't say enough, because even the kids that played, even if they weren't in the two football teams or some of the other sports weren't together, they knew each other. They played against each other for years. It was always a good rivalry. It was not bitter. There was no bullying, and it showed Friday night. We got Angelo Bartolini, who came over from Salzburg last year. I think ran for almost 200 yards. Had the full support of his team. Like, there was no sign of anything. There was no red or orange like layers in the crowd. It was all blue and black or gray. Like, it was all, and that was just amazing to see. And I can't commend the community enough, but kids really drove the final part of this reconfiguration, because they were the ones that had to make it happen, and they did. And that's why I said, when it's electric, and I welcome anybody to come see it in our buildings. It's just an amazing thing to see. And it made it my best week in public education last year to see this all come together.
Wow. That's a pretty strong statement. You've been doing this for a while.
Yes, and it was last week, and then going into Friday night. Like I said, on Wednesday, when you can have 1,000 parents, families, students out on the front lawn coming together for they know is the best thing. It was just, and it really it eased a lot in my mind. It eased a lot of the tensions of families coming from Salzburg, because now they got to see that this was the right thing. The opportunities were there. The building wasn't falling apart. Like, you kind of put to rest a lot of the rumors in the community.
I do want to get back to COVID-19, and you just mentioned the building itself. I know that you and everybody else very, very happy with the job being done by the maintenance staff, by the support staff, or by all the people in the food service, everything that has to come together to make a school year. Sometimes that can be a bit chaotic at the beginning of a school year as well, but sounds like you've got that pretty well handled.
We do, and they've come together, and they basically picked up where they left off in the spring. I mean, the support staff have been incredible. You know, our nurses are on the front line. You know, they're on the front line. The pandemic is a war, like, and it's just it really is, and they're on the front line, and you know, I can't say enough about them. And a lot of times, those are hard positions to fill in the district. So are custodians, so are food service. Those people came and took the position, like a lot of teachers, you know, under different circumstances, are now being asked to do more. And, you know, and that's why I can't thank them enough for their efforts. When
the governor's edict came down this week mandating school masking, after the legislature said last week that they would not force that, was that a surprise to you?
It was a disappointment, and I'm probably going to get myself in trouble here, but
don't do
it was
that.
really a disappointment, because this lack of an absence of leadership, it's really the governor is acting like a coward by not like enforcing. You know, coming out with this weeks ahead of time. Once again, if you see over the last few weeks, school boards have been put in terrible positions because they're friends fighting with friends, 5-hour meetings, putting teachers on the front line, unfortunately, school administrators dealing with things they haven't. This is what our leadership in our country is supposed to be, and especially at the state level. It's just a shame that all of a sudden you do this 2 weeks later when it's some decisions that, you know, probably if somebody with true leadership could have made months ago. And now you have parents that are, you know, on either side of this issue, good, bad, or indifferent, putting the school back in the middle of this again. But basically because the governor and the state have abdicated their responsibility in this issue.
What was your reaction when the governor said school boards are being fooled and bullied by misinformation campaigns?
You know, if you look at it, every school district is getting a different ruling, some form or fashion, from their solicitor. You know, they're getting different advice. They're looking at, you know, CDC recommendations, which is in itself, it's not like a mandate. It's not an issue. It's somewhat of a joke, because it's like nobody wants to grab the bull by the horns. And it's frustrating, but it's pitting good people against each other. And that's not what elected school board members were to do. They're volunteers. They're not supposed to be in this situation. And then, you know, where they're playing a role, and really they're damned if they do and damned if they don't if they make a decision. And that's what's really sad in this whole situation.
Yeah, still a lot of frustration going on, but a lot of people working their hardest to get their way through it. Philip Martell, Superintendent, River Valley School District, thanks for visiting with us today.
Anytime, Todd. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Great day.
You too.
Great day.